From the beginning it was a setup to find dirt on Trump campaign insiders and if possible to topple Donald Trump's presidential aspirations. Before and after the 2016 election. And while this operation had many moving parts and alternating players, the mission to unseat Trump never changed. And it remains ongoing. Paul Manafort was wiretapped. Carter Page was wiretapped. Donald Trump Jr. was wiretapped. Jared Kushner was wiretapped. General Michael Flynn was wiretapped. And likely there were others. And none of it was very legal. In fact, most of it was very illegal, according to federal law enforcement sources who are blowing the whistle on a sweeping scheme to undermine the executive branch and the electorate's choice for President of the United States. And according to high-ranking FBI sources, the Bureau played a definitive role in plotting this sweeping privacy breach. But the FBI had much help from the NSA, CIA, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, Treasury Financial Crimes Division under DHS, and the Justice Department, federal law enforcement sources confirmed. The deep state caretakers involved are familiar names: James Comey, FBI, John Brennan, CIA, James Clapper, ODNI, Loretta Lynch, DOJ, Jed Johnson, DHS, Admiral Michael Rogers, NSA. And then Director of GCHQ Robert Hannigan, who has since resigned from the esteemed British spy agency. President Barack Obama's White House too could be implicated, sources said. But while evidence certainly points to involvement of the Obama administration, sources said they did not have access to definitive intelligence proving such a link. Here is what we now know, per intelligence gleaned from federal law enforcement sources with insider knowledge of what amounts to a plot by U.S. intelligence agencies to secure backdoor and illegal wiretaps of President Trump's associates. 6 U.S. agencies created a stealth task force, spearheaded by CIA's Brennan, to run domestic surveillance on Trump associates and possibly Trump himself. To feign ignorance and to seemingly operate within U.S. laws, the agencies freelanced the wiretapping of Trump associates to the British spy agency GCHQ. The decision to insert GCHQ as a backdoor to eavesdrop was sparked by the denial of 2 FISA court warrant applications filed by the FBI to seek wiretaps of Trump associates. GCHQ did not work from London or the UK. In fact, the spy agency worked from NSA's headquarters in Fort Meade, MD, with direct NSA supervision and guidance to conduct sweeping surveillance on Trump associates. The illegal wiretaps were initiated months before the controversial Trump dossier compiled by former British spy Christopher Steele. The Justice Department and FBI set up the meeting at Trump Tower between Trump Jr., Manafort, and Kushner with controversial Russian officials to make Trump's associates appear compromised. Following the Trump Tower sit-down, GCHQ began digitally wiretapping Manafort, Trump Jr., and Kushner. After the concocted meeting by the deep state, the British spy agency could officially justify wiretapping Trump associates as an intelligence front for NSA because the Russian lawyer at the meeting, Natalia Veselitskaya, was considered an international security risk and prior to the June sit-down was not even allowed entry into the United States or the UK, federal sources said. By using GCHQ, the NSA and its intelligence partners had carved out a loophole to wiretap Trump without a warrant. While it is illegal for U.S. agencies to monitor phones and emails of U.S. citizens inside the United States absent a warrant, it is not illegal for British intelligence to do so. Even if the GCHQ was tapping Trump on U.S. soil at Fort Meade. The wiretaps, secured through illicit scheming, have been used by U.S. Special Counsel Robert Mueller's probe of alleged Russian collusion in the 2016 election, even though the evidence is considered poisoned fruit. Veselitskaya, the Russian lawyer who spearheaded the Trump Tower meeting with the Trump campaign trio, was previously barred from entering the United States due to her alleged connections to the Russian FSB, the modern replacement of the Cold War-era KGB. Yet mere days before the June meeting, Veselitskaya was granted a rare visa to enter the United States from Preet Bharara, the then U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Barrera could not be reached for comment and did not respond to a Twitter inquiry on the Russians' visa by True Pundit. Federal law enforcement sources said Barrera was simply following the orders of Attorney General Lynch, who lobbied the State Department to issue the disavowed Russian AB1/B2 non-immigrant visa. This permitted Veselitsky entry into the United States for the sole purpose of entrapping Trump associates to use as fuel to commission wiretaps, federal sources said. Veselitsky may have been paid as well by the U.S. government, FBI sources said. It was reported last week that Steele, who compiled the Trump dossier, was paid at least $100,000 from FBI funds as well. But that came later, after the wiretapping was well underway. The illegal eavesdropping started long before Steele's dossier. Federal sources said the wiretaps on Trump insiders began in late 2015, almost a year before the 2016 election. The targets then were Flynn and Page, sources confirmed. When no smoking gun was recovered from those initial taps, U.S. intelligence agencies moved to broaden the scope through their newly formed alliance. Intelligence garnered from the British eavesdropping, which again was merely a front for the NSA, was then used in August 2016 to secure a legitimate FISA warrant on Manafort, Trump Jr., and Kushner. That warrant was issued on or about September 2016, federal sources confirm. It was the third time the cabal of U.S. intelligence agencies sought a FISA warrant for the Trump associates, and this time it was approved. FBI sources said finally obtaining the FISA warrant was important because it provided the agencies cover for previous illegal wiretapping which they believed would never be discovered. This would make for an incredible string of Senate hearings, one federal law enforcement source said. I don't think they ever thought he, Trump, would win and information would come out about how they manipulated evidence.